Hi, I'm Desiree Hadley.
And I'm Crystal Rosa, filling in for Mark Diana.
And welcome to Hold the Line with Mayor Baraka. How are you today, Mayor?
I'm fine. How you doing?
Good. So today we're going to talk about public safety and police reform, the so-called sludge factory in the Ironbound, cleanliness of the city, and we're going to have a COVID-19 check-in. Crystal, you want to lead in with the first subject?
Sure, thank you. So in a press conference last week, you announced a new public safety leadership team to continue building on the city's successful crime reduction strategies. Brian O'Hara, who served as Deputy Chief of Police, is now Acting Director of Public Safety. Ronald Slaughter was appointed Deputy Director of Community Relations, which is a newly appointed civilian position. And Acting Captain Sharonda Morris is now Deputy Police Director of Operations. As I mentioned, the Deputy Director of Community Relations, this is a completely new position. So why the need for this role at this time?
Well, I think what's going on in the country calls for more drastic kind of measures. We need more civilians involved in policing, as much oversight as we possibly can get, and any opportunity that we can have to help facilitate culture change. And I think that having a kind of popular, renowned minister from the city involved in that, and then putting a committee together with representatives from each ward to regularly meet with the public safety director, police personnel, and everybody else to talk about community police relations, safety of the residents in our community, all of these issues. Use of force will be helpful, and it'll get them to see that we're really serious about improving the relationship with our community.
Besides putting together the committee, so what specifically are his duties?
Well, he has to meet with public safety director and the chief of police and talk about all of the things from consent decree to use of force to stop and frisk, all of those things that are going on, and really discuss, oversee whether they're getting better or worse, and try to talk to them about how he believes those things should be improved. And as well as making sure that there's sufficient amount of community touches and community relations that are going on with the police department, that they are able to deal with the community better than what they've been dealing with it in the past.
What do you expect out of this new leadership team?
Well, the kind of collaboration that I think is necessary at this point. I want to first thank the Public Safety Director Ambrose and how far he's taken us. Just years of constant reductions of crime. It's been great. Obviously, we have our issues still, but it's been a lot better. Last year the police didn't fire the weapon at all, which I thought was like a tremendous feat. And we still, got so many guns off the street. We're making less arrests, and crime is still going down. And so we need to be able to continue that and take it to another level. And I think the team that we put together now helps us do that. Sharonda Morris is leaving, internal affairs. She's captain of internal affairs, so she's leaving internal affairs, going to do police operations. The public safety director was in charge of the consent decree. He knows the inner workings of what constitutional policing looks like, and those two together can help us take the department where it is that we need to go. I think Chief Douglas, he's come through the ranks. He's been on the department for a long time. He lives in Newark. He's born and raised in Newark, lives in Newark still. All of those things are important, in terms of where we want to go with the police department. So it adds another kind of psyche, another kind of cultural shift that we need to make in the police department.
Okay. So we're going to talk about the next subject, which is the Aries Corporation sludge factory in the Ironbound.
Right.
So I'm going to give some background for those who might not know about what this is. So the Aries Corporation wants to build a biochar production facility off of Doremus Avenue in the East Ward community. And the Ironbound Community Corporation is not in agreement with this idea. They are calling it a sludge factory. These activists are against the factory being built, and the group posted to their social media, and I quote, "Another solid waste facility, new source of pollution, more bad smells, more trucks coming in and out." As a leader of the city, what is your take on this facility being built so close to, residential area in North?
Right. So, I don't disagree, and I think that people have the right to protest and talk about what they don't want in their community. They live there, right? So they have a right to say, I don't want this in my neighborhood, in my community. I don't think it's exactly what it's being portrayed to be, but it's still a place of refusal, like of waste refusal, waste removal. Right. And we just have a lot of those in our city already. So, I mean, obviously everybody has a right to say we don't want this in our community. Right. Whether they made it differently or not, we have a right to say that. The issue is that, these people get permits from the state. You really don't have any legal kind of authority outside of the fact that you have the planning board and all these other things to try to stop these people who build stuff on private property. The state really has to not give these people permits to do this. I mean, the state passed a law, like our local cumulative impact ordinance, that takes into consideration all of the things that are happening already in the city. And they should not pile on to that, right? They should give them permit to do it somewhere else. Right. And not here in Newark. Like, go do it in somebody else's community. But the state gives them the license to do that. I think our problem here locally is that we don't know how to play offense, right? And so what happened is they put this stuff in and we found out at the last minute, right? The city is trying to respond to that. Then local activists are, doing what they do best. But none of us have had a conversation, right? Nobody's called my office except people that they got sending emails. We don't want the factory. But they don't even know if I want it, right? So nobody came and said, Mayor, is this something that you agree with? If not, we don't agree with it. If you do agree with it, we don't. If you don't agree with it, can we do something collectively? How can we strategize to make sure that this doesn't happen?
So when you say that, you're talking about the state?
No, I'm talking about activists in our community.
Okay.
Right? We do the things we used to doing. Social media, signs, yelling, all that other. Like, actually having a strategy to stop it is different, right? Obviously, we need to put that together, right? If we say we don't want this in our community, then we have to figure it out. I mean, I was on a Black History Month event thing yesterday, and somebody got on the heck with Black History Month and started asking me about the Aries thing, and I basically said the same thing. Like, you don't even know if I support this, and you haven't even asked me, and you still haven't asked me, and you're saying, why can't we just say no to it? Because it's not that simple. I wish we could say no to the wealth gap. I wish we could say no to police brutality. It's a whole bunch of things we just can't say no to. It's not that simple. We have to push back against it. It's not as simple as me saying, oh, we don't want this in our city. I mean, it's private property. If the state gives them a permit, lawfully, we have to think of some creative and imaginative ways to make sure that this thing doesn't happen. And it takes people bringing their brains and folks together to create offensive strategy to do this.
Okay, so that brings us to our next topic of the cleanliness of the city. Crystal, you want to take that one?
So we're getting a lot of complaints on social media with regards to garbage, recycling not being picked up. The heavy snow has obviously impeded our efforts to do ordinary sanitation pickups, as well as the 4-day holiday weekend that just passed where, Zone A and Zone B had no trash pickup. So what is the city doing to address this issue?
Right. So we don't pick up recycling at all, actually. It's a vendor that picks up our recycling. When they don't pick the pieces up, we find them. I think it becomes probably more difficult because of the snow and everything else like that, but they still have an obligation to pick it up. What people should do is send us the information. Some people are doing that, and shout out to all the people who follow the process to get us, because it saves us money, and we want your recycling picked up. A lot of people just want to vent. They just talk about it on social media, but we don't know where it's at. What street it's on, what's going on. Have to contact either DPW, the mayor's office, your council people. Use the system, like, to figure out where these things are so we can, because if we don't know what's happening, then we can't say anything to the vendor. Maybe we need a new vendor. Maybe we need to bring it in-house. And all of these things helps us to make those decisions, right? Maybe the vendor is no good.
All right, and do you think night collection, because I know the sanitation has recently switched to night collection, so do you think that switch maybe plays an impact on the fact that people are not seeing their trash collected as often as it used to be?
Everybody is not at night collection yet, right? I think part of it is we haven't fully implemented night collection, and I think that should happen. That is about to happen. We either got to fully implement it throughout the city. But I think the garbage collection is more to do with the snow than anything else. And DPW being so concentrated on the snow, we've had a cumulative of over 2 feet of snow, 36 inches or more, over the period of times that it keeps snowing. And their whole operation has been centered around salting, shoveling, moving snow, clearing the roads, all of those things. They've been laser-like focused on that, which is taken away from them doing the kind of efficient work they need to be doing around garbage collection. It's not an excuse, and they should still be able to do both of those things, obviously. But it would be a lie to say that hasn't affected it.
All right. Okay. So our next and final topic is the COVID-19. We're going to talk, basically give a check-in. I'm going to give some background on COVID and how it's impacting Newark, and Chris was going to go with the first question. So, the city of Newark, in my own personal opinion, has been one of the leading cities to tackle COVID-19 in New Jersey. That's just my opinion. There has been, constant and open communication with the community about it. We've had weekly pop-up sites, daily COVID updates from yourself. That has been scaled down to 3 times a week. Ongoing testing citywide, communication about the vaccine, mailers with updates ongoing, and the list goes on. So overall, the people in Newark have been pretty educated on the pandemic, even from the very beginning. So, and you have led the fight for this pandemic from the beginning, when we were mostly, ignorant to what the coronavirus was. So, Crystal, you want to go into the first question with that?
Sure. So some good news here. It's the first time that Newark's positivity rate is lower than the state since the summertime, right?
Right.
So based on the 3-day rolling average, as of February 13th, it's at 9.95%, and the state's, as of February 13th, is at 10.8%. So what can we attribute this to?
Well, I think that people are, one, we shut everything down. People are more conscious of it, and I think, as was said, that people are doing what they're supposed to do. They're aware. They're paying attention. They're wearing their masks. They're stopping, not going in these crowds, not hanging out as much. And us shutting a lot of things down helps that as well. It keeps them in the mindset that this is serious, that we're not out of the woods, and I think it's helped us. We had all of these holidays that really killed us. And now we're just recovering after these holidays, and we're going back down to everybody doing what they're supposed to do. Halloween, then Christmas, then Three Kings, and all of these New Year's Eve, and all of this stuff back to back to back to back. The Super Bowl, all of that stuff just hit us, and we felt it. And I think now people are settling in and dealing with the fact that we have to go back to what we were doing.
I have a question with regards to, you got the vaccine, the first dose of the vaccine, a little more than 2 weeks ago. How are you feeling? How are you doing? Did you get any side effects?
No, I just had a pain in my arm for about 36 hours at the site where I took the shot, and that was it. It's like one of the booster shot when you was a kid. You had a little pain right there. That's what it felt like. But after that, I was pretty good.
And I guess we have time for one more question. Last question is, in your opinion, do you think herd immunity is on the horizon for this summer of 2021?
I'm not as optimistic as I was, because we're just not getting the number of vaccines that we need, and prayerfully, the president will send out more, and they keep talking about that, and we get it. Then we get more people to take the vaccine. That, on top of people who've already had it, you'll get some level of immunity. For how long, you don't know, but I think that helps. Like some people who have lived through it, who have antibodies, helps us in this fight against COVID.
All right, Mayor, that's all we have time for. Thank you, everyone, for watching this episode of Hold the Line.